Hey, what's going on YouTube? In today's tutorial, we are inside of Affinity Studio, and I'm going to show you how you can put together one of these mini desk calendars, as you can see on the screen in front of you. These are a really great seller on Etsy, so if you guys want to go ahead and make these and sell them, I'll show you how to put one of these projects together. So the image on the screen is for demonstration purposes only. I found this on the internet, but it's just to give you a rough idea of the type of project that you're going to make in this tutorial. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So here we are inside of the document setup in Affinity Studio, and the first thing that we want to do is select the correct size that we need for this type of project, and the size that we need for this is going to be an A6. And unfortunately, it doesn't come as a preset inside of Affinity Studio. So what we're going to have to do is create our own. So up here, I already have mine created inside of my presets as I've previously created this one. So all we've got to do is just change the size to 105mm by 148. And I'll just go ahead and select mine, but you can see just over here on the right hand side, you just got to simply change the numbers for your page width to 105 and your page height to 148, keeping your DPI at 300, as that's going to give you the best quality for your print. And without going into too much detail about the color format, if you guys do plan on printing these, then go ahead and choose CMYK. Then moving on, what we're going to do next is just set up some margins, just so we can keep our design consistent and making sure everything lines up. So all I'm going to do is just add 5mm all the way around this. So at this point, before we continue, I recommend that you guys make yourself a preset, which you can do using the create preset button right here. Just give it a name, just such as A6, and go ahead and hit create preset. Then you'll have it available every time you open up Affinity Studio. So with that said, I'll go ahead and select that A6 once again, go and hit the create document, and we'll go ahead and get started with the project. Okay, so when working on this type of project, the first thing that we need to do is we need to change from the Vector Studio, which you can find right here on the top left hand side, over to the Layout Studio. So once we select that, we're going to make our way over to the right hand side, and we're going to toggle on this preview mode, which then is going to show us where our margins are, and it's going to make it a little bit easier when it comes to lining up all of our artwork. Okay, so because I don't want this video to go on for too long, I'm just going to make a pretty simple design, but you guys of course can build off this and make it look a lot better than what I'm going to do in this tutorial, but I'll give you enough information just to get you started. So what we're going to do first of all is make our way over to the left hand side toolbar menu, and we're going to select the frame text tool. And I'm just going to move this up a little bit, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing a lot better on your screens. Then I'm just going to simply drag from one side of this margin over to the other with my frame text tool, letting that snap into place. Then inside of here, I'm going to want to put in the month and the year of our calendar. And because I'm going to start this from the year 2026, I'll just go ahead and type in 01. So that will be January. So here's a quick tip for you guys if you don't already know that you can do this. You'll be surprised how many people have been using Affinity for many years and have no idea that you can do this little trick. And what I'm going to show you is that at the moment we have the month over here on the left hand side of the screen, and we want to go ahead and put 2026 over on the right. And the quick and easy way of doing that is holding down Shift on your keyboard and pressing Tab. Then that will jump over to the right hand side, as you can see right here. So all we've got to do is write in 2026, and that is a very quick way of putting your text on the left and the right on the same line without having to mess around with the ruler and the tab stop section. So what we'll do now is we'll just go ahead, and I'm going to give that a different color. I think I want to go for maybe just a blue, just to make it look a little bit better. Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a line straight across this, and the quickest and easiest way of doing that is going over to the left hand side toolbar menu, selecting the pen tool, and it's just a case of putting that anywhere that you like as a starting point. Hold down Shift just to keep that completely straight, and just let it snap on the other side. Then over in the color wheel, I'm going to make that the same blue that we've got on the text, and I'm also going to go into the stroke menu, and I'm going to make that width a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to just toggle off the preview mode for a moment just so we can see what we've got. And I'll grab that line, and I'm just going to use my arrow keys just to move this up and position it roughly where I want it to go. So somewhere around there will be fine, maybe just a little bit further down. So moving on, what we're going to do next is we're just going to bring in the month of the year. So just go ahead and make your way over to the left hand side toolbar menu. Once again, we'll grab the frame text tool. I'll turn back on my margins with the toggle preview mode so we can keep this aligned. And I'm just going to make a box to roughly around that size. then I'll just type in January. So I think I'm just going to keep the month short, as sometimes it looks better with that sort of design. So what I'm going to do now is just make the font a little bit bigger, something I'm more happy with, and we can see a little bit bigger. So 48 will do fine. I may come back in just a moment and resize that, but for now we'll move on. So we'll go ahead and we'll change the font as well, just to make that look better. So I'll go ahead and just choose that one there. Then I'll just deselect it so we can see what we've got, and I'll just toggle that off once again. I'm going to move this over slightly because that J does stick slightly outside of that box. So using my arrow keys, I'm just going to move that over just to make it look a little bit better. And this is personal preference. You guys can place this anywhere that you like. I'll put it there for now, and I may come and move it in a little while. But moving on, what we're going to do next is I think I'm going to have some text underneath this, which will tell us the temperature of January, for instance. So once again, we'll go over to the left-hand side toolbar menu. We'll grab the frame text tool and just draw out a box to any size. Okay, so all I've done here is just typed in high and low temperatures that we roughly have here in the UK in January, which is between 9 and 4 degrees. So that's going to be dependent on where you guys are around the world. So just make sure you check Google for your average temperatures from January to December and just update that however you would like. So I'll just turn off the preview mode, and now we can see what we got already. So moving on, what I'm going to do next is I think I'm going to bring an image in over here on the right hand side. And the best way and quickest way of doing that is heading back over to the left hand side toolbar menu and grabbing our rectangle picture frame tool, or you guys can use a picture frame ellipse tool. It's entirely up to you. So I'll go ahead and grab the rectangle one, and it's just a case of dragging out from one side to the other, making that as big as you like. So first of all, I'm going to turn back on my preview mode so I can see where my margins are, and I'll start roughly around here, and I'm going to hold down shift. That's going to make that a perfect square, and I'll just drag that till it snaps against my margin. Then inside of here, you guys can put any images that you like that you may have on your computer. Just to be a bit quicker with the tutorial, I'm going to go into the stock menu, and I'm just going to find an image of, maybe because it's January, I'll go with a winter image. So if you guys don't see this stock menu inside of your Affinity Studio and you want to use some of these images as well, just simply go up to the top menu bar to where it says window, head down to where it says layout, and just make sure that you have that stock option checked, and that will also give you access to this library. So moving on, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use this image right here, as that looks pretty good. So it's just a case of dragging and dropping this straight into that picture frame. So the reason that I like to use a picture frame tool more than just bringing an image in and resizing it is the fact that we have these additional options right here in the middle where we can pan around the image, and you can also zoom in and out to make it bigger or smaller. So using the bar right here at the bottom, you can zoom in, and then using the circle in the middle, you can pan around that image just to position that and make that look exactly how you like. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Command or Control Z just to undo that and put it back to how it originally was. Then we'll move on with the tutorial. So what I want to show you guys is a little trick which I think always looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the preview mode at the moment so we can see what we've got. But the trick I'm going to show you is that we're going to feather this image that we have right here, which is going to blend the side of the image into the background. And this is a really cool effect, which I think you guys would love. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to head over to the right hand side, and we're going to select the layer that says picture frame, which is the one that we just created. Then towards the bottom next to this effects panel, we have this option that says mask layer. So go ahead and put a mask on there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make our way up to the top left hand corner to where we have the Pixel Studio, and we're going to go ahead and switch over the pixel. Then we're going to make our way over to the left hand side inside the toolbar menu. So you can use different shapes in here, whichever you guys prefer, but for this tutorial I'll go ahead and use a rectangular one. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing a marquee around this image of roughly where I want the image to be the focal point. So for instance, I want to focus mainly on the little girl and the mum in the middle. So I'll start roughly around her head, and I'll just draw to a size that I'm going to be happy with. So something like that will be absolutely fine. So the idea here is what's inside of this box is going to always be the main focal point of the image, and it shouldn't really be affected by the blending of all the sides of it. So anything outside of this box is going to be blended into the background. So once you've done that, what we need to do is we're going to go to this option above here which says refine. So if you click on refine, and inside of here you can see in the refine selection we have this option that says feather. We're going to drag that all the way up, And inside of the preview, you can see right here how it started to feather the edges. So that's a rough idea of what we're going to get. So once you've gone ahead and put that all the way up to 100, we'll go ahead and just hit apply. Then we need to go up to the top toolbar menu where it says pixel. Then we're going to go down to pixel selection and we're going to choose invert. That then is going to invert from this square that we created to the outside of the square. And all we're going to do now is just hit delete on our keyboard. And we'll go ahead and just deselect that. And you can see how this has feathered the edges, just like I said, and it looks really good. So you guys can see just how professional this looks now to what it did just a moment ago. And what I really love about this effect is it's completely non-destructive. So we can go ahead and we can just delete this if we don't like it. So over on the right hand side of our layers, all we got to do is simply select the mask that we created, just hit delete and it'll go back to its original state. So I'm going to hit Command or Control Z just to undo that because I really like that effect. Then what we're going to do is we're going to head back over to the top left hand side and we're going to go back into our layer studio. And with our move tool selected, what we can also do, because I said this is non-destructive, is we can resize this as well and we're not going to lose any of the effect that we've applied. So if we just go ahead and select the picture frame tool, we can simply just resize this as I stated, make that as big as you like, and we still maintain that feather that we just created around the edges. Not only that, we can also still pan around the image like I originally said we could do, and we still keep that same effect. We can zoom in and out like I stated as well, make that image bigger, and we still have the same effect like I said. And what I love even more than anything is we can also change the image of this if we like and still keep that effect as well. So going back over to the stop menu, I'll just grab something else real quick, maybe that one right there, just drag and drop. And you can see straight away, once it changes the image, we've got to move that into place and make it a little bit bigger because it's a smaller image. But you can generally see that we have the exact same effect that we created originally. And like I said, if you don't like it, go over to your mask and just simply delete. And then we are back to where we started. So like I said, I do like the way that looked. So I'm going to go back and put it back to how it was originally. And then we'll move on with the tutorial. So if you guys have found this video helpful up to this point, please go ahead and hit that like button as it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps other people find my content. And of course, please hit that subscribe button as I'm on a personal mission to try and hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. And we are currently on November the 21st, 2025. So I've only got really a month to go, but you guys can make that happen. But moving on with the tutorial, what we're going to do next is we're going to go to a website where we can get all of the calendar information that we're going to need for our dates. And that website is going to be called Time and Date. So I'll go ahead and open it up right now. So here we are inside of the timeanddate.com website, and all we got to do is go to where it says calendar, and we're going to choose calendar for 2026 as that is going to be next year from today. So if you guys are watching this in the future, this could be 2027, 2028, whenever it is that you guys are watching this. So for today's tutorial, we'll go ahead and prepare for 2026. So as you can see, we have all of our calendars ranging from January all the way to December. And if you scroll further down the page, you have all of this information on various holidays through each one of the months. So what we'll do first of all is we just need to copy, and we're going to paste all of these into a table inside of our Affinity Studio app. But before I go ahead and do that, I just want to quickly mention that wherever you guys are around the world, you want to go ahead and just change your country. So I've got United Kingdom because it's where I live. But if you guys are in the States, for instance, you want to go ahead and select that and choose show. And at the moment in the UK, you can see our calendar goes from a Monday to a Sunday. But if we show the United States one, you guys go from a Sunday to a Saturday. So that's partly why you want to make sure you choose a correct calendar for your country. Not only that, down towards the bottom, you may have different holidays across your calendars than what we have in the UK. So just make sure that you have changed your country before copying any of these dates, just to make sure that your calendars make sense. So I'll go ahead and just put that back to United Kingdom. Go ahead and hit show because I want to copy this calendar right here. So in order to copy this, we need to be a little bit different to what you may expect. Instead of copying from number 1 all the way down to 31, that isn't going to work because when we come to paste that into our table, it's going to move number 1 to the first cell. So what we actually need to do is copy all the blank spaces spaces as well. So we'll go ahead and select everything on that first line all the way down to the end of the 31, grabbing that empty space as well. Then we'll go ahead and hit Command or Control C to copy. Then we'll make our way back over to Affinity Studio. So back inside Affinity Studio, we're going to make our way over to the left hand side toolbar menu, and we're going to grab the table tool, and all we've got to do is just create as many rows and columns as we need. So we're going to need 7 across, which is going to be Monday all the way through to Sunday. So we've got 1 right now, and we'll just drag this across on the top bar, just creating 7 of those. So we've got 5, 6, 7. And the amount of rows that you're going to need going down are going to determine by how many days you have in that month. So I think it will be safer if we go for maybe 5 or 6. You can always add and remove these at a later date. So what I'll do is I'll just make that a little bit bigger for the time being, and I'll just zoom in on this so you guys can see it better. Grab that move tool so it allows me to zoom in. Then what we'll do is on this top row, we're going to write in either Monday to Sunday, or if you guys are in the States, you want to go for Sunday to Saturday. So I'll just quickly write this in just by typing it in. And then once you type it in, you just want to go ahead and change the size of your font just to make sure it fits in nicely, and choose whatever color that you would like. So I'll quickly go ahead and just do that. So here is my Monday all the way through to Sunday, and all I've done is just change the size of the font. I made it bold and I've put Times New Roman for the font. So all we've got to do now is just paste in all of the information for the dates. So just like I said, if we go back to the website, you've got to copy the blank spaces to make sure this goes in correctly, and make sure the number 1 goes where it needs to. So with that said, we'll go back over to Affinity Studio. Then once we go ahead and we paste inside here, our number 1 should appear over here on Thursday. So we'll go ahead and hit Command or Control V. And just like I stated, that works exactly as I expect it to. So if you did have more days in the month, then you may have an additional row at the bottom. If you find that you paste some of your dates in and you end up with some empty space, just simply go ahead and grab this bottom arrow and just pull it up and remove that row. But it is as simple as that. So some issues you may have, which I want to just address quickly in case you guys get stuck, I'm going to go and just delete that. Some of you may find that if you paste in your dates into your table, it may all appear in the same cell right here in number 2. So I'll go ahead and hit Command or Control V to paste. And just like that, it's all in that one cell. And that is not what we want to do. So I'll go ahead and just undo that with Command or Control Z. And the way we want to make sure this does work correctly is you want to select the first cell. As you can see, it's highlighted here. And just make sure this bar at the bottom is highlighted blue. So you want that to be blue in the background, but you want that to be a dark blue beneath it. Then once you've done that and you hit paste, that's going to put it exactly where you need it to go. So I hope that helps you guys out if you do get stuck and you have that issue. So this has now changed the format to what I had a minute ago. So I'm just going to go back and put it back to how it was. Then we can move on with the tutorial. So I'll just zoom back out so I can fit the screen and we can see what we've got. So I'm going to bring that down just slightly a little bit. And I think what we're going to have above here is another table, and it could have the information in there for them special holidays that we have for each one of the months. So all we're going to do is just quickly create another table over on the left hand side. Just drag that out to any size that you like. Just turn on your margins again so we can make sure that we do snap that into place. Then it's a case of just going back to that website. In January at the bottom, we just pay attention to the January dates. So we've got New Year's Day and the 2nd of January, Scotland, and the 5th of January as well. So we'd copy them 3 right there and we'll put it inside of that. So I'll quickly just copy that one, and I'll go back over to Affinity Studio and I'll just paste that in. Then what we've got to do really is just format this just to look like it does down here in the calendar, just changing the font and the size and the color maybe. So you can see what I've done here. I've just made my table just to fit the information in here that we need for these special holidays throughout January. So I've got the 1st, the 2nd and the 25th. What I've also done is I put a hyphen just in the cell next to them just to separate them. And you guys can add additional ones over here if you find there's more in one month than there is in another. All you got to do is simply right click on D, for instance, insert a new column. So that'll be our number once again. Do the same on the E, insert a column. That'll be for where our hyphen's gonna go. So maybe just put in 30th. And then over this side, you type in whatever information you want. Then it's just a case of resizing them by grabbing in between the D and the E and just making that a little bit smaller to any size that you would like. And just moving that over just to fit it all into place. And in this instance, we would want to create another column just so we can bring this text over. So we'll go and copy that and we'll paste it over this side, and we'll just delete that one. And then we can just drag that out to make sure it fits where we need it to go. Then when we deselect it, we can see how it's going to look. So that's if you guys do want to make additional information. I'll go and just put that back to how I had it originally, and then we'll move on with the tutorial. So what else you can see that I've done is I've added this top line and this bottom line, and the way that you can do that is by formatting your tables. So if you go over to the left hand side, and inside of the panels up here we have the table panel, and you got all of this information right here in the stroke and the fill section where you can add all your borders and stuff. So right here I've selected all of my table, and I've just selected this option right here, which is outside horizontal, and that is how I got the top and the bottom. If you guys want these to be completely filled in, all you got to do is choose the different types that we have inside of here. So for instance, we could grab that one and we could turn this on for the entire table just by selecting on that, putting a width on it. And now you can see how we have the borders outside of the entire table. And at the moment they're blue at the top, but they're black everywhere else. If you do want to change them to be the same color, all you got to do is go to where it says cell. You can see it's blue. Just change that to any color that you would like, and then that is as easy as that, just to put a border around it. However, I'm just going to undo that and put it back to how I had it originally, because I think it looks pretty good. So if you guys want to learn more about the table tool, I do have another tutorial based on that. It is inside of Affinity Publisher, which is what Layout was formerly known as. Everything is exactly the same inside of that software as it is in here. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, you can learn everything that you need to know about the table tool, and I'll link that in the top right hand side in just a moment. So moving on, what else I also did is you can see I've made Thursday, Friday, as well as Sunday down here bold. That is just to indicate the special days that we have right here. So that is another thing that you can do. So I'll just zoom out, and now we can see the design that we got as a whole. So this right here is our basic template, which we're going to need for the rest of the calendar. So all we're going to do now is going to change to pages. Then we're just going to duplicate this page 12 times. So using this option right here, which is to duplicate selected pages, we'll do 2. I'll copy both of those. I'll duplicate both of them at the same time. That gives me 4. Then I'll duplicate all 4. That's going to give me 8. And then we need to grab another 4, and then we're going to get 12. So then we have 12 pages all together, starting on page 1 at the top and page 12 at the bottom. So if we make our way back towards the top and we focus on page 2, we just got to come in here now and just change this text to February, and we're going to go ahead and change the color of that. Up here at the top, we're going to change that to the second month. We can keep 2026 the way it is. You'd also edit the information here for your high and low temperatures. Then just down here, we'd also edit this information to change it for any special days throughout the month of February. Then with the February calendar, we just got to go ahead and simply paste in the February calendar from the website. So we'll go back to time and date, and we'll go up and we'll just make sure that we choose February. And you're going to do this on every page going through your 12 months. So we'll go ahead and we'll copy that. We'll come back over to Affinity Studio. We'll select all of these cells. You can ignore the ones at the top. You don't want to select the Monday all the way through to the Sunday. You just want to grab all the numbers and the empty spaces. Go ahead and hit Command or Control V. And there we go. We now start on the Sunday all the way through to the Saturday. And this is going to be a really tedious part of the project, unfortunately. And you'll find that when you do paste these in, you're going to have to come back and format them just to look like the page before. So it is going to take a little bit of time. But like I said, you want to go back into your calendar dates and just change any information for February. So down here at the bottom, you'd focus on what we've got going on in February, such as Valentine's Day, etc. Just bring that information back over to Affinity Studio. So what I have done, guys, for any of you who want to put these together really quick and maybe sell them on Etsy, is I've put together 10 different pages of these calendars that you guys can download from my Etsy store for a small cost. And if I open these up, you can see that I've got from Monday to Sunday. If you guys are in various countries which do your calendars from the Monday to the Sunday, you've got from the years 2026 all the way to 2030. So that's 5 years of calendars, and everything is set up just the way that you need it to be, including all of these special days that we have for each one of the months. But what I do want to quickly mention is that the information that we do have inside of the special days is just going to be used as a placeholder. You are going to have to replace the dates and the text that I have in there with the correct information on the time and date website. So with that said, you can see that I also have Sunday to Saturday. We also have 5 years of those calendars as well. So if you guys are in the United States, this is the one that you would use, or there's various other countries that also use Sunday to Saturday. But all you got to simply do is open up any of these calendars. calendar. So we'll go ahead and we'll open up that one. Then once it's opened up, we'll go to the pages panel, and you can see as we go through this, we have different colors for each one of them, and that they've all changed the dates here at the bottom. And all you've got to do, guys, on each one of these to change the image is just select that and maybe just drag an image in from the stock library or from your computer. You can change all of these colors if you want. It's entirely up to you what you do with these. And like I said, you are going to have to edit all of these. This is going to be for the UK, but you guys anywhere else around the world are going to have to go and change this to be correct to your country. So as you can see, as I keep making my way through, I've just changed the images, and I've still got this same effect which I taught you guys earlier. Like I said, if you don't like it, just simply go into your layers and just delete that mask, and that'll give you the whole image. So I'll go ahead and just undo that because I do like the way that looks. So this is our calendar for 2026. However, if I go and open up one of the other ones for maybe 2030, just down here, you'll see that I've updated that just up here on the top right hand side where we have 2030. And all of the calendars have been updated to accommodate those years. Like I said, you just got to change the information for the special days, or alternatively, if you don't want them, just delete them all together. It's entirely up to you. You can modify these any way that you like and sell them for whatever profit you would like to make. However, one thing that I do want to mention is that you guys cannot resell the original file which you are purchasing from me, as that remains a copyright of myself. However, once you go ahead and modify these, you can sell them however you like. Then all you got to do, guys, at this point is go ahead and just print and sell them just by going up to file, just go down to print and just choose an A6 inside of your settings and just go ahead and print those out, and then you are good to go. So if you don't like this design in general, that is absolutely fine. You can go ahead and just delete it altogether. The main things you do want to keep are obviously going to be the calendars. This is the reason you may purchase this file. And with these, you can go ahead and just resize them and do whatever you like with them. You can change the font and the color on them. You can add the borders around all of these. So for instance, if you guys don't want to make this on an A6 and you want a big A4 calendar, just go up to document setup, and you're going to go ahead and just change your page format over to an A4. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And then all we've got to do is simply grab our table where we've got all of our dates, and you can just simply drag and resize that and just start creating a whole new layout for an A4. And you can do the same thing here if you want to grab those special days as well. Just make that bigger and just create the layout however you like. But the most tedious part of this whole design process is going to be putting together the calendar dates. So that's why I thought I'd offer you guys that for download on Etsy, just to make it a little bit easier for you. So if you found today's video helpful and you've learned something new, then please go ahead and hit the like button, as like I said, it helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps other people find my content. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and help me reach that 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. But for now, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.